You know that episode of Hannah Montana when Hannah Montana forgets the lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No,
Anyways.
actually, I was just trying to yes and your
Okay.
intro. Go ahead.
Well, no, I appreciate the line to me. Anyways, I know someone that happened to in real life where they were not a trained singer. They sung it at a small event. There's maybe 100 people there, and then they forgot the lyrics to Star Spangled Banner. And it was one of those things, most of the time you can kind of make fun of people for mistakes like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't. It
Right.
was one of the times where I actually could not make fun of it because it was properly actually embarrassing for this person.
Because it was traumatic for this poor person.
Yeah.
Did they
Anyways,
ever come out into public again, or are they still
I don't
hermit
think
to this day?
I don't think this person's ever sang in public again.
Oh,
You said they
But-
weren't a professional singer in the first place.
Yeah.
They were just asked to do this.
Yeah.
I think I would have
yeah.
had the lyrics on my phone. Anyway, that sucks.
It's the 4th of July. We're recording in the morning. Weirdly early for me. I would normally be eating breakfast on my day off like this. Hoorah, America. I don't think the place that I live does fireworks because we're in a forest fire.
Fires?
Yeah.
Right. See, my place is the third driest state in the union, but we still do fireworks because fuck the environment, apparently.
So does that cause forest fires?
It can cause fires, and people's houses can catch on fire because the grass around people's houses is really dry.
Oh.
My place
But
is gonna
it's
be
fine, I'm sure. It's going to be fine.
Do you have
fireworks?
Do you have? Because Seth lives in Philadelphia, which is a very that's a.
Land of rain.
Well, no, there's a lot of American history that happens there in Philadelphia.
Yeah, like the bell, the Liberty Bell.
Yeah, we
And
do
like
have
the
Liberty
sign,
Bell.
and the signing of the Declaration of Independence happened in Philadelphia,
Have
right?
you gone to all those places, Seth?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's really
um,
cool.
So today's a tangent episode anyway. So growing up, we would oftentimes school trips would be. So I live in the Philly suburbs, or I grew up in the Philly suburbs. I still live in the Philly suburbs, just other suburbs. We would take trips down into Philly, and then we would do all the historical stuff. So you'd visit Independence Hall, you'd see the Liberty Bell. Just there's stuff with Ben Franklin. There's
Cool.
other historical stuff to do around. As you get older, you can talk about the Industrial Revolution, and there's places like Trenton where you can talk about the textile industries and the greater Philadelphia
That's
area.
so cool.
So
I think.
oh, go, Katie.
Sorry. I've always I grew up in Utah from a young age, and I've always had a distaste for American history because most of the American history that I ever heard about was the Mormons and pioneers coming to Utah, and that Utah history is taught 2 years in school, it's a whole thing. And I was like, that's so boring. I don't care. But I think if I had grown up in the Philly suburbs, I'd be like, I live in a land of majesty. This is where it happened. This is so cool. And would have a different perspective. So that's pretty cool that you have that.
It is a little cool. It is a little normalized because I hate driving
Right.
into Philly anyway, and historic Philly is a pain to get into other than by train.
But are people really into the 4th of July because they feel very patriotic? That's the point.
I think that's one of those things that you would have to gather a lot of survey results on. I don't know if we're any more patriotic because we're in a sort of patriotic place.
Does your family do anything special for the 4th of July?
So my brother's birthday is actually today.
Oh, get out. My
Happy
birthday's
birthday,
tomorrow.
Seth's brother.
Happy birthday, Seth's brother.
I'll relay that to him. Anyway, so it's nothing super crazy that we usually do.
Did he-
Usually his birthday celebrations.
Did he believe that the fireworks were for his birthday when he was little?
I don't remember. We're only 2 years apart, so
Oh, okay. Because I used to think that there were fireworks on the 4th of July, like heralding my arrival on the 5th. I really thought that they were for me.
Good. Should talk to your therapist about that one.
Yeah.
So today is a specific game episode. We have these every once in a while. We had these a couple weeks ago with Detroit Become Human. We had a guest for that. No guest today. Just talks about 4th of July. We have all played Inscryption.
Sure.
I think we have various levels of connection to it. I think all of us think it's good. Maybe some people got a little bit more out of it than others. Anyway, so we're going to talk about Inscryption. So for what we've been playing, you're not allowed to say you've been playing Inscryption because that's already implied. Okay. But there's no one hosting, so I'm just going to go first, and then someone else can take it, and then whoever ends can just bring us into
the podcast before we start.
Oh yeah. Welcome to Overthinking Games, a podcast about what video games can teach us. My name is Dempsey. Up earlier than I usually am on weekends.
And my name is Katie.
And my name is Seth, and it's also not a weekend.
It's basically a weekend.
It's Thursday weekend.
Well, it's a federal holiday. I do not have to go into work today. What is a weekend?
Do you have to go in tomorrow?
No, I do not.
No, then it's a weekend, baby.
Then it's a weekend. Yeah. So I have been playing a lot of Inscryption, which I'm not allowed to talk about. And then I've also been playing Animal Well, which is a game I put a few hours into like a couple months ago and have recently come back to and put like another 5 hours into it. And I think I'm in the last, like, I don't know. If I had to guess, I'm in the last 30% of this game. It gets bigger. Like, I don't know how to gauge how big it is. It is absurdly beautiful. And it's very Hollow Knight vibes. Like, if you like the vibes of Hollow Knight, I strongly suggest that you play Animal Well. There is no ability to combat, though, but there are enemies, which has been really interesting.
No combat. Okay.
So
interesting.
So there's no, like, you have a bunch of tools, and there's ways to defeat enemies or get past enemies, but there's no, like, you cannot hit anything directly. So that's been interesting, and it's a lot more. It's kind of a platformer, like it's very much a Metroidvania, like the most Metroidvania of Metroidvanias that I've ever played in my life, actually. And it's visually, like, I am a sucker for dark environments with like glowy production design.
Me too.
Like neon, fluorescent kind of vibes, and that's pretty much all this game is. It's dark and dingy, and all the animals and plants and things like that glow, and all like the special effects from like the environment and the tools you use on the environment feel like really beautiful. One of the first things you get is a firecracker that you can throw, and the firecracker does different things. But it sounds good, and it, like, the effects and how the firecracker, like the light from the firecracker impacts everything. Like, it just looks like a lot of time and effort went into this to make it look really, really cool and interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been really beautiful.
I've heard it's one that's best to go into not knowing very much about it.
Yeah, I don't think it's only mechanical. Like, okay. There's not really big like story spoilers that you should be aware of, or like a big emotional twist, or like even like a big philosophical point the game is trying to make.
Oh, okay.
It's mainly the sense of exploration and discovery is beautiful.
Oh, okay.
So
cool. That's nice to know.
So yeah, it's not going to take you on like a big emotional journey, but it is.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, but like the the connection of like, and like you will make connections. There's so many aha moments, and you will make connections in ways that you do not realize until a little bit later, which has been very fun, of like piecing the mechanics together in ways that I've never experienced in a video game quite like this before. It's really, like, it's fantastic. It's so good. It's also published by Dunkey, who's like a comedy video game YouTuber, which is very funny.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
That the first game he published is like kind of a masterpiece. Like legitimately an amazing game.
That's cool.
I've also, my life has changed fundamentally from the base layer of being of who I am. I got a monitor for my Steam Deck and I can play mouse and keyboard now.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's great.
I have been doing a round of Age of Empires 2 before I go to bed every night. And ooh, that is such a satisfying experience. That is such it's so good.
Oh my god. We should play together. Do you have Age of Empires, Seth?
No, but I could potentially get it.
How do you not have Age of Empires 2?
I grew up at the wrong time.
That's the best one. Okay. Zoomer.
Is the Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so fun. And you can play together against bosses. It's so fun.
I've never done any
RTS.
Yeah, it's like what is it an RTS? Is it an RTS?
He knows
it's
Command
the
and Conquer,
RTS,
but he doesn't know Age of Empires.
Well, I think that's the thing. I think like instead of playing Age of Empires, like my dad was into Command and Conquer, so that was like my RTS of choice.
My dad played both.
Fucking good for you.
It's an RTS. It's like the prototype. I think when most people think of RTSs, they think of StarCraft, and then they think of Age of Empires 2.
Yeah, see, that's reasonable. I think of StarCraft, and then I think of Command and Conquer, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Age of Empires is a game.
Is a game.
I love Age of Empires so much. I remember I would stay up for like 48 hours in college playing Age of Empires when I got stressed, which is not a good way to handle stress, by the way.
No. Weirdly.
There was a pirated copy that we would put on a shared, because like I had a laptop, but also we just had computers everywhere, and like every lounge had like a mini computer lab in my college. And there's a shared drive, and so we put a pirated version on a shared drive. So that way, whatever computer you and your friends happen to be at, you could just boot up Age of Empires 2 and play a couple rounds.
That's cool.
We did that in high school. Yeah, we had our game of choice for some reason was the original Binding of Isaac. Somebody had like uploaded it to the high school flash drive or the high school like shared drive, and everybody just like knew how to access it, and it just played for some reason on the school computers. It's a good core memory.
We had in high school we did that with Halo 2, and we had a private Halo 2 server. And then I got very much in trouble because I was involved in that creation process, and I ended up spending a lot of my high school in a closet by myself because I wouldn't stop doing stuff like that. I would give people like proxy, or I would like distribute proxy servers, like little, so then people could bypass the school's firewall and things like that.
Wow.
Anyways, so yeah. So because I do not have a PC, I have a Mac, and I don't like using my Mac for gaming at all because gross. But the Steam Deck, if you just plug in a Steam Deck to a mouse and keyboard and display, it feels it feels great. It's fantastic.
It's a computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so being able to play Age of Empires and a few other games like Inscryption was a lot better on desktop than it was handheld with the Steam Deck. And a few other games have been like, oh, this game makes a lot more sense mouse and keyboard. Mm-hmm. So now that I have that.
It really opens up like the library that you can play, because some games haven't been optimized at all for the Steam Deck, but you can play them mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, and it adds so much more value to your Steam Deck. Like, if you have a Steam Deck, it's definitely worth investing in a cheap monitor. And you do not need the official USB hub from Steam Deck. It's nice, but I have a cheaper one that I have from other places. And yeah, it's made my Steam Deck worth so much more to me. So anyways, so that's what I have been up to. Katie, what have you been up to this week?
Let's see. I've been playing a lot of things. I've been playing Unpacking, which I think I'm on the last level of, and I really have been enjoying it. I don't tend to like organization games. Like, I don't like A Little to the Left or things like that, where you have to try to figure out how it's supposed to go. Like, there's a pattern or there's a certain way. I'm not good at figuring that out. But with Unpacking, you just take stuff out of a box and put it where you think it goes. And at the end of it, it'll let you know if something is like really in a wrong spot, like the toaster doesn't belong in your bedroom. What are you doing?
I put the toaster in the bathtub. It did not.
Did you?
It's a joke about.
No, I know, I get
Okay.
that, but did you actually? Because that would be hysterical.
Okay.
I bet it would give you a sticker for that.
An accomplishment, the depression accomplishment. Putting the toaster in the bathtub.
Oh God. I arranged the magnets on the fridge to make an equation, and they gave me a sticker, and I was like, oh, thanks, I'm cute and smart. But yeah, so that's been really fun and very soothing. And then the one that I've been really obsessing about is a game called I Was a Teenage Exocolonist, which is mostly a visual novel. You play as a kid who spent the first 10 years of your life on a spaceship on the way to a planet that you guys are going to colonize. And when you turn 10, you've crash landed on this colony or on this planet, and you start to build your colony. And the way it works is every month you get to pick an activity, and that's how you like up your stats. And there's like people you can talk to, so you can build friendships. So there's like that relationship sim and activity sim, sort of like in like kind of what you would think of in like Persona, or that one that you like. What's that one called? The House 13 Houses. Fire Emblem. Yeah, Fire Emblem. Exactly. So it's like that, where you're leveling up your different stats, and there's only so much time, so you can't level everything up. But meanwhile, you're growing up, your colony is going through changes and growth, and you're running into challenges and struggles and, all these different life events that happen, and you make choices about what you do, similar to Disco Elysium or to Citizen Sleeper. But the thing about this game that makes it different from those games is the cozy vibe. Like I told Dempsey earlier, I think it's like the Becky Chambers of sci-fi visual novels, because everything that's happening really feels like a vehicle to explore the relationships that you have with these different characters, and the relationship with yourself as you're growing up. The art is beautiful and the music is really beautiful. There's a point in the game where they make a direct reference to something from the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, and I lost my mind. Like, that sealed it into the echelon of top 5 sci-fi games. Like, I'm enamored of it. I love it. So I what's that word? Influenced. I influenced Dempsey into buying it. So.
Yeah, I bought it. I'm very excited to give it a try. I love cozy sci-fi. Right now I'm reading book review time. I'm going to do a sneaky book review. Right now I have this 5-hour drive that I have to make almost once a week for work. So and that's one way. So it's a 10-hour drive both ways. And so I've been listening to Caliban's War, which is the second book in the Expanse series. I'm
reading the first book right now.
Oh, okay. I am going to be... we can have a book club about this. Okay, so here's my thing about The Expanse. I hate everything about it but the writing. I think the writing is so good. I am not interested in noir mystery or political thrillers, which is what those books are. So like I have no interest in most of what those books are. But I think that James, whatever his last name is, the author, is an incredible writer. Like the language and the sentence structure and like it doesn't feel like, it feels like he makes very measured, safe decisions in his writing. Like he feels very technical and precise and like what you want out of like a professional writer. I'm contrasting this a little bit with like Becky Chambers, who's also a sci-fi novelist who does not write like a typical professional novelist. She has a much more like, she writes a little bit more like fan fiction-y. But like James, whatever his last name is, writes very like typical, like prototypical, like polished.
It is very polished. I agree.
And so there's something about it that's really satisfying. And there's like moments of character stuff that is really interesting. Caliban's War, I think, is so much better. The second book so far has been a lot better than the first book.
Really?
Like leagues above, like leagues better.
Okay, I haven't been able to put the first one down.
Oh, yeah. The first one I thought was very good. The first one, but like the second one I actually like. Like the first one was like an impressive, incredible feat. It's like watching like 2001: A Space Odyssey, where it's like, this is like a feat of artistic accomplishment, but I personally do not connect to it. But the second one, like, is like, I don't know, it's worth moving on in the series. It's very.
Are
good.
you reading it or listening to it?
I have been listening to it on my drives.
I've been listening to it as well. I really like the narrator because when I first heard him, I'm like, oh God, he's kind of pretentious, but then it's actually perfect. Like,
yeah,
it's pretentious in the best way.
Where are you? What's your most recent event? Spoilers for like The Expanse. Go read The Expanse.
The Leviathan Wakes, the first book.
Yeah.
It's James Corey, by the way. I looked
James
at
Corey.
it.
James Corey, you're a beautiful writer.
I'm sure he listens to the show.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more than halfway. So what has happened is Hardin, whatever his name is, the Earther space guy, and Miller, the cop guy, both nearly died from radiation poisoning because they're like, we're just gonna go check real quick.
Oh yeah,
fucking stupid. Just stick together, you dumbasses, and get off the fucking station. What are you doing? Gave yourself radiation poisoning.
So I love so much how he introduces like details through perspective. Like he's already like if James, what's his last name?
Corey.
So if James Corey notices something, when he tells you about it, he's already two steps past noticing it into like a really natural, like it's a comparison, or it's like a pretty well-built metaphor. Like there's a lot of like, I don't know, like elegance and like forward momentum to how he writes, because it's like I know good writing like moves things forward, but it like in this book I feel like it really does, because like the train of thought is always like a little bit ahead of where it could have been, which is something that it's very satisfying to experience that kind of storytelling.
It is. Like there's no fluff. Everything serves a purpose, but it's written in such a way that it doesn't feel like it's for the plot. It just feels organic.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the character structure, and then like, there's stories like, cause it starts out where each chapter will follow one specific character, and then eventually the character stories intersect, which it's so satisfying when that happens.
Yeah. And I love the way that he head hops as well, like, cause he'll say,
yes,
fuck, Holden said, and then it'll go to Holden's perspective and it'll say, fuck, Holden said, and then continue his line of thinking. And each perspective is genuine. It's like genuinely different. Like, so there's more characters in the second book. There's like 4 that you hop between instead of just 2. But for like each character, the experience of what they are. So like, I don't know if this is a spoiler. Is it a spoiler to say that in the second book there is an action scene? No.
Okay, so in the second book there is an action scene, and there's one character who is very adept at action, and there's one character who has never seen any kind of violence in their life. And it says like the same event from both of their perspectives, and it's anyways.
Interesting. Okay, I'm looking forward to that. Okay. Sorry, back to video games.
Oh, also unpacking. Unpacking tells...
Seth never gets to talk.
Sorry, Seth. We'll get to Seth. Unpacking is one of the most interesting narrative experiences I've ever, I guess, experienced in media. Like, you didn't read it or really watch it, but you played it. But it's like a really detailed, specific narrative without any dialogue or characters or like really anything. But like there's still like you get an emotional arc, and you get tensions, and you get like failures, and you get like anxieties about specific things, all from just like, unpacking their life, which has been
when you're moving into the first partner's house. I was like, this asshole has made no room for us. This asshole has made no room for us. And then, like, the next scene, I was like, I fucking nailed it. Fucking knew that. I was going through trying to find a place to put my fucking plushies. This guy can't even put his shoes together so that I can put my shoes someplace. Excuse you. I was so indignant while I was moving into that place. I was like, this guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, it's a level of environmental storytelling that I don't think I've ever experienced before, because it's not vague at all. Like, it is only environmental storytelling, but it's still like a specific concrete, like FromSoft Elden Ring games will have environmental storytelling, but it's very vague, and like it's really hard to get exactly what happened. But this is not like that. This is really easy to follow, very clear, but it's just taking things out of boxes and putting them away, which I think is like a really important accomplishment in how we think about how video games can tell stories.
Absolutely. And I think it's so interesting to see, like, what do you take with you? What has made it from the first childhood home to the very end versus what things have been, discarded along the way or added along the way. I feel like it's really one of those things where it's like your possessions really can kind of paint a picture of who you are.
Yes.
Like at your essence. And I thought that was a really interesting way to look at possessions.
Yeah. I think unpacking, it's pretty short. I think you can play it in like maybe like 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, it is pretty short.
So I highly suggest unpacking. I think it's a beautiful game. It's
free if you have a PlayStation Plus membership. The second tier where you get the game catalog, that's where I'm playing it, because I've never wanted to spend $20 on a game that I could finish in 3 hours. So I was able to get it as part of my membership, and that's why I finally decided to play it, and it's been really good. Seth, what have you been playing?
Well, Katie, I'm glad you asked. I also played Inscryption this week, as we were talking about it. I was curious, do you guys have easy access to, how much play time do you have in Inscryption? Like, how much time did you actually put into it?
Oh, that's it. I have my Steam Deck right here.
My initial playthrough that I started with my husband and this one, I've probably put 30 hours into it.
Ha? What?
Because I played initially with my husband, who is not as much of a gamer as I am, and he would play with me, but we wouldn't play long enough, frequently enough to really get the hang of the card mechanics. So every time we came back to it, I had to like relearn how it worked. So it took us a really, really long time to get out of the first stage. And so, but then when I just restarted when you guys were talking about playing it again, I restarted and played from the beginning, and it probably took me 15 hours or something. I'm a pretty slow gamer.
Okay.
But
okay. I finished it in 6.
Yeah, see, this is what I was looking at. I feel like you finished it way faster than I finished it. Because I have 10.7 hours on record.
Can you see my playtime?
I have to look.
Well-
It was on my. I don't know how to look on PlayStation. Maybe it.
Dempsey, I can see that you've played 6.1 hours recently because Steam tells you like friends who've played this recently, and so because it took me 10.7. So I also played a little bit of Casey's mod, which might be contributing into that. I don't know. Anyway, interesting.
like it took
We'll talk
me a
about
long
description in a
time.
bit. This week I've also been doing a Dark Souls 3 run, which I've been enjoying quite a bit. I'm doing a Soul Level 1 Dark Souls 3 run, so that's Dark Souls 3 but with like no leveling up your character. Which I've previously talked about. I did before in Elden Ring. I did Elden Ring Rune Level 1 without leveling up your character. And
okay, so when you do that, is it also you do not do a lot of damage? Because like I'm okay with getting one-shotted by everything. There's like a certain level of like satisfaction to not getting hit, and that's kind of how I played Elden Ring. But
a little bit, yeah.
I did get more powerful attacks as I went on too. So when you do a level 1 playthrough, do you also not do that much damage? Because that would fucking suck.
No, so you upgrade your weapon 100%. You can like upgrade your weapons so you get more damage. But just about every weapon in the Souls games have like a base damage value and then a scaling value. So that's like, hey, my weapon does 220 damage, but because I have really high strength, it gets another 150 points of damage, of physical damage because I have high strength. And so that's your scaling value. Here, you essentially don't get any scaling values. So whereas your weapon might do 220 plus 150, mine does 220 plus 25.
That sucks.
And, you know, I just made
Also,
up those
like,
numbers, right? But
Sure. Also, like in Elden Ring, you cannot use a lot of the good weapons until you level up. Like you just can't wield them. So also,
hold on.
Does that mean that your options for weapons are really narrow? Because you can only use weapons you can use at level 1?
So that's part of the gimmick here for the level 1 runs, is that you have to like sift through your weapons to figure out like, hey, what's actually usable. And that restriction is sort of what breeds the creativity here. So I can go back and talk about Elden Ring for a second, but this Dark Souls 3 run, I'm regularly using like 4 or 5 different weapons. Because I have a weapon that does dark damage. I have a weapon that does fire damage. I have like a long pole arm that I'm using. I have a knife that does like bleed damage. And so I can sort of like situationally pick my weapon to really like cover for that lower damage threshold that I have. And like a couple of the most recent bosses I've beaten through like bleed attacks, just because it's easier to like stack the bleed debuff and get these like big damage drops, these big like percent damage drops, rather than to like slowly try and whittle through the boss with my main weapon. But that weapon is not good for like mobbing through most of the game, because I need to be able to like kill a lot of enemies, and sitting there and getting like bleed procs takes forever. So anyway, the sort of creativity that results from having those low stats is what's fun. It's also then fun to be able to like pick equipment that gives you stat boosts in order to expand the pool of weapons you can use. So the only reason I'm able to use the polearm item I found, it's the Lucerne, is because I have a ring that gives me +3 dexterity, and the polearm requires 12. So it's like that characterization and like finding the equipment that lets you use the other equipment is sort of what makes for the fun challenge in the run. Also, I'm getting into the later part of the run where, yeah, stuff starts to one-shot me. So I need to like optimize my armor now to be like, oh, I can at least take 1 hit if I have this kind of armor on. And 1 hit is very different than taking no hits. So there's some of that. Elden Ring was actually a ton of fun, and I think very approachable when it came to the Soul Level 1, or Rune Level 1, because Elden Ring has a ton of stat boosting equipment. It has 4 different pieces of like relevant stat boosting equipment. So you have like Radigan's Sword Seal, which boosts your strength and dexterity by 5 each, which opens up like a huge amount of items. Marika's Sword Seal boosts your faith, arcane, and intelligence by 5 each. Opens up a ton of equipment to use. So Elden Ring, it really just comes down to like, hey, if you want to use a weapon, you just need to find the equipment to make it happen, which is really cool for Elden Ring. It's a little bit more difficult DS3. It really doesn't have that much stat boosting equipment. It's really like 1 ring in the mid game and then like 4 rings in like the end game. So I'm kind of waiting for the end game here to use some like cooler boss weapons for the final boss. But
do you think that Dark Souls 3, like people did that level 1 run as like a way to challenge themselves, but the game developers didn't necessarily know people would do that? And then in Elden Ring, they're like, oh yeah, people do this. Let's make it cool.
No, I think it's just a natural consequence of the game design. Okay. Because in Elden Ring, like one of the things that you can get is you've got your like flask of wondrous physic or whatever. It's like the special like once a life bonus you can get. But then one of the things they put in it is like, hey, this flask gives you like a +10 strength bonus for 3 minutes. It's kind of designed to be like a, hey, it's a slight damage increase depending on like the scaling of your weapon. That's where I was saying like, hey, weapon can go from like +25 to +150. You know, a +10 bonus depending on the weapon might give you an extra 30 damage. Not super relevant, but hey, you know, 30 damage is 30 damage. For the Rune Level 1 run, where your stats are all 10, that's essentially like, hey, I get to double my strength for a certain amount of time. And that makes plenty of weapons go from completely unusable to, like, I can use this weapon for 3 minutes if I want to, like, have a specific boss weapon that, as long as it takes less than 3 minutes, which most bosses do in something like Elden Ring, you could sort of, like, get through it. So...
God, that sounds like, I'm glad that you enjoy that. That sounds like absolutely no fun at all to me. Oh, no, just sounds stressful.
The puzzle of it is what's exciting.
Right.
When it actually comes to like fighting the bosses, it really doesn't take any longer than a normal like Elden Ring fight. I mean, it takes a little bit longer because you do slightly less damage, but you have like a fully upgraded weapon. So the challenge is in like not getting hit, or making it so that if you do get hit, you survive one hit, which is usually, you only get hit once anyway, and then you usually get like knocked out of the combo through knockback. So it's getting hit once, getting knocked back out of it, so that you can heal back up to full, because you really don't have that much health, and then being able to be hit like one more time. So it's like a sort of Soulsy puzzle, and then you're just kind of executing it at the end. Yeah, it's a good time.
Okay, so now that we've spent a lot of time talking about what we've been playing this week, and book review, email us in if you have any opinions about The Expanse. It's also a TV show on Amazon. I could talk about The Expanse for longer. Inscryption. I will start off with my experience with Inscryption, and then Katie can go and Seth can go. So... also complete spoilers for Inscryption, which is not a game that you want to be spoiled for you. So if you have any intention on ever playing Inscryption, which I think you should, go play the game and don't listen to the rest of this episode at all. So go. This has been your warning. Spoilers.
We're white fanging you, but it's for your own good.
Yeah. Okay, so I liked the card mechanic. I thought it was a genuinely fun card game, which how people talk about Inscryption makes it sound like it's going to be like the draw of Inscryption is like the subversive narrative that it has. But for me, that was secondary to the actual card game. My favorite part of Inscryption was the card game mechanic, and then all the story stuff was like interesting wrapping, like very secondary. I appreciated it. It like it was good, and it made me like the game even more. But it definitely wasn't like the main draw or what I would say the meat of the experience was. I think the actual playing of the card game is, for me, like the meat of the experience. And I am a little bit sad it doesn't allow like a Slay the Spire style, like infinite.
Dempsey,
Like
have you
can just.
are you familiar with Casey's mod?
What's that?
The exact thing you're asking about is built into Inscryption. If you boot it up right now on the main menu, you can just select Casey's mod and it lets you do that.
Oh, well, okay. Then the game just went up a few points. So there are certain games that have. I don't think this game has a meta narrative. So I don't think it ever talks to the player directly. I think it talks to the lucky card guy. But
okay.
he's still a character in the game. So, like, for example, Undertale talks directly to you as the player, and that narrative is specifically like you are a character in Undertale, and your decisions, like directly, not your character's avatar, but your decisions affect the experience of the characters in Undertale. And the same with like the Stanley Parable. Like the Stanley Parable, you are a character, not just Stanley, but you are a character in the Stanley Parable. And so like, as far as like fourth wall breaking, I don't think Inscryption breaks the fourth wall ever. I think it's all within like all because at the end, when all the characters are either celebrating or lamenting being deleted, they're not talking to you, the player. They're talking to the lucky card guy. And he is the player. So you're controlling the lucky card guy, but he's still a fictional character.
What about the archivist and like the friends list people cards that show up that are from your own?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I took it as like flavor text for making the lucky. What's his name? The lucky Carter. What's his Luke? Luke. There we go. Luke. Yeah, his name's Luke Carter, which is very funny. So I took it as just like flavoring Luke's life. Like these are Luke's friends list and Luke's files, and it just happens that they look like mine because that is interesting or whatever. So maybe you're right. But narratively, I think like in the narrative, it was Luke's files. And Luke was the one that uploaded the game and connected to the internet and things like that. Obviously, you, the player, are doing it. But I don't think...
That's how it is on console. It's all his own files. It's because you're on console, you don't have files like that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, on my Steam, it was hard because I don't have a lot of stuff on my Steam Deck. And it didn't let me use games, which is like the biggest files I have. When I went into like my Steam library and things like that, it didn't let me choose games. So I had to find like video recordings. Was the files that I used.
Like the game didn't let you choose other games? Because the game let me choose games, fine. Or do you think it was just like a Steam Deck like file access restriction?
Yeah, it might have been that. It was probably something Steam Deck specific, or maybe I just didn't know where I thought I knew where anyways. But the point is that I don't think this is a fourth wall breaking video game. I think this stays in the four walls of the narrative. It just so happens it's like Inception. Inception never breaks the fourth wall. There's just different levels of world building where the narrative happens. So yeah, which again, in contrast with someone like Undertale, where the Flowey's like, if you play the game again, you'll make everyone's life miserable. Don't ever open this game up again. And he's talking directly to you, the player, and so you become a part of the narrative. So I think it's a lot more traditional. Like it has a lot more traditional narrative structure than I was anticipating, which isn't bad. It's just something that I noticed while I was playing it. I think it was very pleasant. Like, the first time, like, because you start the game. and you will get like little like, oh shit, and like little narration of things, and that's the first time that you understand that something else is going on with this game. And then the first time the video files open up, like that is such a good moment, and such a like, oh, there's like a whole layer here. And that's a real YouTube channel as well, so you can go and,
I know, which I thought was crazy.
yeah, there's like a whole ARG to this game. So like
Would you not call that meta?
I don't think so. It felt more like the ARG is often just used as like a marketing tool, like to.
Oh, okay.
So like I don't know. And if you do not do the ARG, there is like not like, I know there's a lot of ARG elements in this game that I did not interact with because it just seems like it takes a lot of effort. That I wasn't gonna like open the game's code and put specific command prompts in the command window and things like that. That's just a level of interaction that I am not interested in. So, but yeah, like the first time the videos come up, I think it's like, that's a pleasant surprise that there's something else going on. And then when the art style changes, I'm a big sucker for games that have art style changes.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And also like the combining of the different decks that's so fun. Like it's
Super
like
cool.
in Slay the Spire, if you can use cards from all the characters together, and what kind of like completely broken like I was winning most of them in one hand just because I
Wow.
had such broken card combos, because you can mix and match the decks together.
I never understood the mechanics well enough to utilize that in a way that served me. I'm really bad at card games. I don't have any real life experience with them. And it really shows when I play games like this, because I was like, I recognize that I am supposed to be able to balance this deck in such a way that I can do really cool shit, and I can't do it.
Yeah, the second area was a very like Magic the Gathering-esque deck building challenge with having the different like factions, colors, and having to like, hey, build a deck with it. I was like, okay, I've literally done this in real life before. I know what I'm doing here.
And I love the 2D art style. Like the switch from 3D to 2D was very fun. The fact that all the robots are sapient and they have opinions about how their data is being handled was very fun. My favorite moment in the game was when you're back at, I think his name is Lushy.
Lushy.
Yeah,
Leshy.
Leshy.
When you're in Leshy's shed and the weight, the scale disappears, and he's like, "Let's just play for fun."
Yeah, it's a great
Oh my god, that was such a good bit of writing, and it felt so good. That was fantastic. And at that point, also because you get to make your own cards.
Mm-hmm.
And so like that element really breaks things, because I was like having like cards that cost nothing that could do 7 points a day, like 7, and I just win right away. You just and
Yeah.
then you can put other cards that allow you to choose, like you can give your squirrels the ability that when you play a squirrel, you can choose what card to get from your deck. And so if you
Yeah. Those
and
are
so
really
like
cool.
it was just, it's you really break, like it's a really breakable game, which I think maybe is one of the reasons you want a really strong narrative wrapping, because maybe having a game that's this breakable as just a card game would lose kind of it. Like it's way more breakable than Slay the Spire. I
feel
would
like-
never be able to do the kind of things that I can do in Inscryption and Slay the Spire.
Well, and so that's
I feel like. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say
Go
that's
ahead,
a
Seth.
little bit of the point of the different aspects of the game is, especially in like the first act of the game where you're in Leshy's cabin. Like they really want you to like push through the game after a couple tries and like understand that there's broken stuff. It's one of the things when you like actually go back and you play Casey's mod, that's like balanced out to be like a reasonably playable game instead of just like
okay.
jacked up mechanics. And even like I wish I could play more of Act 2, and they had like an Act 2 expansion. But Somebody made a great point about like Act 3, when you're playing with Poe, who I presume his name is PO3. That's supposed to be just like Poe, right? He talks about like, oh, your deck sucks, and like, oh, you can't. But then by the time you get to the end of the run, you're literally like building your own custom cards, and also your vessels are like the most overpowered cards in your deck by like a long shot. So there's a little bit of like built-in irony there with that character.
Well, I really messed up with the making of my own cards because there was a puzzle, like there was that 3D printer or that printer to the left of Poe in his room, in his lab. And I'm like, I want to solve all the puzzles. And I saw the card. And so I recreated that card. And then when I went and I clicked on it and it printed it, and I was like, okay, cool. And then it changed. So then I made that card, and then nothing happened. And I never made a cool card with my card making ability. Not one time.
Stuck with mediocre cards.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I am not the target audience. My background knowledge was insufficient. I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
That's rough.
It was a really hard game.
It also feels like it's a game about video games. Like
100%.
Absolutely.
It's about the exploitation at large like AAA companies. That's like the entire narrative thread is someone dies.
They're literally killing their employees.
Yeah. And I do not know that much about like collectible card games, but it seems to be that there's a lot of commentary, or at least playing with the tropes of collectible card games, like Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh. It's a Yu-Gi-Oh reference at the end, right? Is that what that is?
I was like, I guess I'll take this opportunity to comment on that, because I was commenting on it like as I was playing through to you guys. But yeah, like Act 1 of the game is very like Slay the Spire-esque, right? You've got like, sort of like large scale dungeon crawl, deck builder card game. Obviously, I think like mechanically combining cards is like a super interesting mechanic, and it feels like one of those things that should be really overpowered, but like the sigils never, like they're effectively keywords. The keywords there never get like too out of control as to like how everything works. Board positioning is really cool there. Lots of games don't like deal too much with the board positioning. It has some like Hearthstone aspects like that. That's actually one of the things I really liked, is having like the physical board that you play cards, but then having like the Slay the Spire like sort of go through things. Cool mechanically. Act 2 reminded me a lot, and Act 2 is a sort of like card game niche reference, in my opinion, but to me that was very similar to Chandelar, which is a like old school 1997 Magic the Gathering game, very similar to Act 2 of Inscryption, maybe the best way to put it, where you have to like go around the world to like fight battles and like collect cards, which then you can use to like modify your deck as you go. So it was sort of like that, but it was also sort of like the old school like Pokemon trading card game, but like physical. No, it was I don't know what it's called. They made a video game of the Pokemon trading card game back in the day. And it sort of had some elements of that in there. It was also a very fun game. Act 3 felt very much like a Souls game, like the ability to like die and then just like respawn at a bonfire. But like Act 3 blew my brain. I couldn't. There were so many mechanics by the time you get to Act 3, between like the circuits and the gems and like everything else going on. I was just like, I can't focus on any of this. I'm just gonna like make sure that my vessels give me extra energy, and then I'm just gonna use that energy to get stuff later. Very Hearthstone-esque in that third section there with that mana mechanic. But Yeah, as somebody who's like played a lot of different card games over time, is one of the things I really enjoyed about this game is it really feels like a love letter to all those different games. And even as you get past like the first 3 acts, I think showing you the other games was just this sort of like experimental ideas that they couldn't fully flesh out, like the chessboard. And I was like, okay, like I can sort of see why this is a compelling idea, but also why there's only really like one level of it. Like I don't really know if there's too much place to expand.
It was like they had a cool idea and they wanted to, this was an opportunity to just throw it in there.
Right.
And share it.
Cool idea, cool opportunity to just be like, hey, here's this idea. I don't think really it can really go anywhere, so we're just going to do like a level of it. Yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh section at the end was really funny. I think I actually popped off in my chair because I was like, yo, he's got a dual disc. But of course, right, that area is just like, that's it. The gimmick is it's just like Inscryption, but you have a dual disc. And it's 3D. And you're like, cool. That's it.
See, and I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know anything about Magic the Gathering. So all of these cool like Easter eggs that made you feel like that amazing feeling of being in on something. Yeah, I didn't get any of that. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Okay, I can kind of see what they're doing. Like I got other things from it, but I definitely didn't pick up on any of that like layered nuance of other media that it was referencing.
Yeah, to me, this was just one big love letter on card games, which I was fantastically happy about.
I do not think you have to be into card games to enjoy this game, though.
Absolutely not.
I agree.
Because, like, it's less demanding than, like, for example, Slay the Spire. Mm-hmm. The more you play it, the more out of pocket and powerful your cards become. And so it has, like, a natural way to progress you no matter how good you are at the game. Which I thought was really clever design.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Dempsey, when you were talking about how the mechanics are so breakable and, you know, you can become so overpowered, especially in phase like 2, that's the point. You're supposed to kind of bust through that part, I think, to move on to the next section. Because when I was thinking about it, and that video you sent us, the Daryl Talks Games video, gave me some vocabulary to kind of help me talk about what I'd already been thinking, which is that magic circle of a game where we all agree that we're going to play this game and follow the rules and do the things. And that's what we do in video games all the time, where you play a game and you're like, my goal is to find the sword of whatever, or the master sword or whatever, because that's what the game has told me I want. So I'm going to do that. And I feel like in the first phase of the game, we're playing, initially we're just playing because, right? Because it's been put before us, we're going to play the game. And then when we get away from the table, the goal does become get out of the cabin. And so you start exploring to try to get out of the cabin. So our goal isn't to play the game for the game's sake. It's we want to get out of the cabin. And then phase 2, I feel like they're like, well, now your goal is to overthrow the scribes so that you can take over. And later on, after I understood more, I was like, okay, it's also just because we want to know what the hell is going on. But then when you get to part 3, when it's like a Souls-like, there's a part in the game where the narrator guy, I think it's Poe, must be, says there's nothing of value over there, but you have to explore anyway, you know, for transcendence. And I thought that is the game talking to the player and saying, I don't know why you're doing this, but you're going to do it because that's what you do in games. You do what we tell you to do, you know? And so I thought it was really interesting, like the way that it talked about the different styles of games and the different like motivations for doing things, to the point where it's like, yeah, we know there's no reason, but you have to do it anyway, and you're going to. And then you do. So you get to be like in on that joke, which I thought was interesting. That's it. That was my main thing. Also, Leshy is an actual Slavic, like mythological figure.
Yeah, I was just looking at the Wikipedia page.
Yeah, he's like the king of the forest or the god of the forest or something, and he's a trickster and can be treacherous, and you don't normally see him, which makes sense why he's shrouded in darkness at the end of the table and will just fucking murder you if you progress through the game too quickly. Like, did you guys run into that at all? The first run through at the table in the cabin, if you get to the second boss in your first run, he puts down fucking wall of grizzly bears and decimates you. And says you're going too fast, too soon. And he just absolutely slaps you down and makes
That's
you
funny.
die.
No.
I was not aware of that.
It is fun because this game does play very arbitrary with its own rules. Like,
Yes.
the rules are determined by the narrative, which I think all games do, maybe to different extents. But and I think that, like, being transparent about that was a really interesting way to interact with someone that normally, like, if you want to beat, for example, like Slay the Spire in your first run, I don't know if that's possible, but I assume people try to do it. Like, make it all the way to the third boss.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So, like, you know, because the mechanics are really, like, consistent. But this game does not have consistent rule sets. The rule set is determined by whatever narrative thing that the game needs to happen, which I think you need to have a lot of faith that the narrative is good enough to justify that. And I did have that in this game. Like, the narrative was good enough to justify how arbitrary the rule set is. And I feel like it shares a lot of DNA with something like the Stanley Parable, because the Stanley Parable also is very aware of and talks about the fact that the game developer has all the rules and can do whatever they want with you. And then as a player, you are okay with that because the promise is that you are going to be given an engaging experience of some kind.
I need to play that next.
But yeah, it's been really, yeah, I think Inscryption's and like the even like the phases of the boss battle are just like the bosses doing things that they want to because they want to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily like a natural progression of like what, like for like the first boss turns all your cards into rocks
It's
at the
not
end of the
fair.
boss phase.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's really arbitrary. It's not fair, but you're trusting it to give you an experience, which I think is, I think is really interesting.
No, I mean, it's
And
something I really liked about those fights is, like, yeah, the bosses kind of play with their own set of rules, but I think it's no different than in something like Slay the Spire, where, like, you get to a final boss and it can do, like, you know, Slime Boss can split, or to me, that was an interesting sort of, like, catch-up mechanic for the bosses, where it's like, hey, the prospector here, he, like, slaps all of your cards, so you need to play, like, careful in the first half of that boss fight, and it's just, like, forcing you into, like, different sort of expectations about things, or, like, playing around the hook, or playing around the pelts here. To me, it was just like, hey, you can't just throw down 3 of your best cards at the start of the fight. Like, you got to throw down one of them and then, like, sort of save it for later.
Yeah.
But
I thought
that's
it was
the mechanical side
very,
of things.
Yeah, I feel like the first section with Leshy was really a tutorial for the rest of the game because it taught you to think about positioning in a different way, because it would, like, with the prospector, after I understood what was going on with it, I would place the cards that I knew were going to get hit in front of, you know, like, I would try to be strategic about it so that I would have cover where I wanted it, but could still put down, you know, at least a squirrel and a something, but not have to defend myself across the board right off the bat. Or with the fish hook, like, being strategic so that the fish hook grabs your squirrel and pushes back their kingfisher, you know. And so that helped me a lot because like I said, not a lot of experience with card games like this, so especially positional card games. So it was really instructive for me. And then later on in the game, I was able to use those strategies that I had learned with even more complicated mechanics, which I don't think I would have had the foundational skill to do that otherwise.
Sure. Yeah. So Seth, going back to something that you said, that it's like the bosses changing their rules is just like Slay the Spire bosses changing their rules. And I think that's true. I think for me the difference is the narrative wrapping. Because like in Slay the Spire, that's just like a monster you're fighting. But in Inscryption, like it's another card player that is choosing to be unfair. And I think, and so I think like, I think you're right. Like in all games, the bosses will play by their own set of rules. That is not necessarily like the same rules as the player, but it's Inscryption. Like, I don't know, like the element of there's a character there that is choosing to cheat, I think makes me think about the rules and how I can, because the other player that you're playing against is not just like a monster, but is like a card player and is cheating. It really inspired me to play unfairly and to cheat as well, or like to quote unquote cheat as well.
Okay.
And like think like a lot more about, okay, I'm going to break it. I'm going to have an unfair advantage. I am going to like have all these busted cards. And it felt like Schadenfreude, like I was getting revenge on this guy who has been cheating the whole time.
You felt powerful when, like, because the other player is taking all of the power from us by cheating and getting away with it, and we can't do anything about it. It was like taking back power. Yeah,
100%. That was the feeling. Like, especially like the first like hour or so, when like there is a little bit of a challenge to it because you don't have all your broken cards yet, and you haven't like, yeah. And then when you go like when the online, like when Poe has there's
golly.
like an on, golly. So when you can get a card that someone else made from the internet,
that's one of my favorite parts of the game.
I got such broken cards that were like really fantastically designed. Like one was if you play it, it gives you an energy, and if you break it, it turns back in your hand.
Nice.
So then you can play it and break it and play it and break it. You have, it's basically infinite energy. It was an infinite energy card is what it was. Cool. And so like that felt so satisfying because the narrative is playing with who gets to control the rules of the game.
There's a gleefulness that comes from feeling like you're getting away with something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you like the mystery, like the narrative, like what's on this disc?
Yeah, hugely. That was one of my main motivators. I was like, I want to know what's happening with Luke Carter. And so when I found out about the ARG, which is like an augmented reality game. Yeah. So basically it's like, it sounds to me like geocaching.
It's like a scavenger hunt, but can be either online or out in the real world.
I'm going to watch that video and have the mystery explained to me because I want to understand what all of like the redacted shit was and why did they kill Luke Carter and like all of the things, because I am deeply curious about that.
I'm also a fan of full motion video. This wants to make me play Her Story.
Oh my God, please play Her Story. Please. You will love it. I was literally thinking of Her Story while we were talking about this because it places you in that position again of being, you're you're always the person playing the game, but in this case, you're the person in the seat inside the game doing the investigation. And it's a very interesting position to be in. You get like super invested. It's so good. Oh my God, please play it. Especially now that you have a mouse and keyboard. Easy.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you should play it.
I think I own Her Story. I just haven't played it because it seemed inconvenient without a monitor and things like that. But
Yeah.
now that I have that.
Oh my God. I wish I could have that experience for the first time again. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's making me want more things with full motion video. I think it's fun. I think it's okay to have bad production and acting and video quality in video games for like their full motion game sequences.
Did you feel that it was bad?
Well, I think it was.
It's a little cheesily done.
Yeah, it's a little bit cheesy. It's a little like B movie kind of situation. It's a little melodramatic and things like that. But I thought it was still fun. Like I was a fan of it.
I liked it. I like full motion as well, though. Did we do it?
I think, I'm trying to think. I'm sure we will have other thoughts that we come across. I want to do an episode about like meta narratives later on because I think that is like this game is about the idea of a meta narrative, but in and of itself is not a meta narrative.
It reminds me of Super Hot without getting into any details about that, but it does remind me of Super Hot.
Okay, I do not know how.
What? How do you mean you don't know how? Okay, Super Hot spoilers. Scroll past this for a second. In Super Hot, you get to a point where you guys have played it, right?
I mean, I'm familiar with it.
You haven't beaten it?
It's been a long time, and I did not play the whole thing. I played like a couple levels.
Never mind.
I've played enough to be very impressed with like the movement and things like that. But I played it in VR.
Mind.
I played it in VR and
no Super
the VR,
Hot spoilers. Never mind.
I was trying to get
play Super Hot, guys.
I didn't know there was more to it than that.
Play Super Hot, guys.
I've seen the speed run.
Okay. Okay, great. That's
Super Hot. Very good game.
Okay. But yeah, Jude, do we have any closing thoughts? I think it's worth playing. I think it's not to rank it or the art needs ranking, but it did not impact. This is gonna make me sound like a spoiled brat sociopath.
Yeah, we're ready.
But there's a lot of. I wish this game did not have the reputation that it did because I was expecting more impact than I got out of it, maybe. Like, it's weird to be like, I'm disappointed by the experience because I think it is an excellent game and like creative and like it says something unique. And I think as a piece of art, it has like genuinely important things to say and things to celebrate and accomplishes its goals. And I think it's very good. I think it has been like something that I have heard so much about, though, that I kind of expected, like, I don't know, something like it did not hit me. The story for me did not hit me emotionally very much. It was kind of this like thriller that you can kind of see where it was going the whole time. And so I think it's insane to say it's a disappointment because it's an extraordinarily excellent game that is definitely worth playing. But not at the, like it doesn't, I wish that I would not have experienced as much, which hype. I don't think I've ever, hype, which I don't think I've ever had happen before. Like, I don't think I've ever had hype ruin a game experience for me. And it definitely didn't ruin it. But, like, I don't think I've ever had a hype, like, negatively impact how I feel about a game
kind of dampen it?
Yeah, like dampen it a little bit.
Seth. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's it. So yes. So that's my, like, strange, spoiled brat take is, like, it didn't live up to the unreasonable expectations that I had of it.
Seth, having the card game experience and background knowledge that you have, did you have, like, what was your take on your experience with it and how it lived up to expectation.
I think this game's fantastic. I like just about every part of this game. I mean, I really enjoyed like the mechanical side of the game and all the acts. I thought did something like fun and interesting. I thought it was interesting narratively. Yeah, like the full motion video stuff. I was like, hey, this is cool. I also don't care a ton. Like, it was kind of interesting to go back through, but also like I accidentally skipped a couple of the videos the first time it showed up because I was like, hey, what's this button at the top right do? Click. Oh. But I didn't really feel like I like missed out. Like, I was sort of into Inscryption for the mechanical bits of what was happening. The fact that there was a narrative there was cool. And I enjoyed sort of experiencing it, especially like in the finale of the game. You can sort of understand what's happening. But as for like putting the greater narrative together, I could like sort of tell you what happened, but I also, again, I don't really care that much. So mechanically, which is often why I'm interested in games, it was very cool. And I would put it up there for definitely like a must play game, especially if you enjoy card games. But yeah, other than that, if you're not a person who's into card games, I'd be like, yeah, you might like Inscryption. But it's there's other games I'd probably recommend first.
That's kind of, I think that when you are in on a niche interest and then you get to see references to that interest, like it feels it's very exhilarating and like inclusive. You're like, I'm part of this group. I get the joke or I get the reference. And it's like this great feeling of being in on something. And I never had that throughout the entire game. I was not in, but I still really appreciated and enjoyed, especially the cabin. That was my favorite part of the game, was the first stage. And I loved the way that they did the art. I loved the way that it was like a D&D sort of card game. The storytelling of the game master was really cool. And I loved the soundtrack. Yes. I love the soundtrack of the cabin. The music is so good. So in that way, like, I feel like even as somebody with no real background experience with card games and no real interest in that side of gaming, I got a lot out of it as well. So like story-wise, I was most interested in the live action part of the story, and the story that was actually in the game was not as compelling to me, but I was definitely engrossed enough that I played through the first section twice in order to be able to experience the story altogether. Like, it was good enough that I came back and played it again after my initial failed attempt last year. So,
Katie, is this kind of what your master's project was about? Background knowledge and how that affects?
It was. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Background knowledge is so important for how we perceive things and respond to things and connect to things. If you don't have that background knowledge, huge pieces of the puzzle are just missing and you don't get to experience the full picture in the way that it was intended to be seen. So.
Okay. I think that's it. I'm going to close this out now. Thanks for listening to Overthinking Games, a podcast about what video games can teach us. If you have any thoughts about Inscryptions or any other card games or any other games with meta narratives that break the fourth wall, which I contend Inscryption does not do, this will be the worst episode for TikTok because I can't put any of the Inscryption talk on TikTok because it's just all spoilers.
Put the Expanse book talk.
Yeah,
on.
that's what I'll
do. We'll make our way to the book talk side of TikTok.
There we go.
That's how we'll get the readers to listen to our show.
If you have opinions on sci-fi novels, let us know. Follow us on TikTok. Comment, bully me, like everyone else does.
Poor Dempsey.
Tell a friend. Give us a rating.
How can you bully him? He's like a friendly little vinyl collecting nice dude.
Yeah. Mostly it's when I talk about Souls games and everyone is like, you don't understand.
Sakaro.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
That's good. I don't say Sicaro. I say Sicaro.